unto the end. For the presses, a psalm from David. O Lord, our Lord, how admirable is thy name in the whole earth, for thy magnificence is elevated above the heavens. Out of the mouth of infants and sucklings thou hast perfected praise. Because of thy enemies thou mayest destroy the enemies and the avenger. For I will behold the heavens and the works of thy fingers, the moon and the stars thou hast founded. For what is a man that thou art mindful of him, or the son of a man that thou visitest him? Thou hast made him a little less than the angels. Thou hast crowned him with glory and honor. Thou hast set him over the works of thine hands. Thou hast subjugated all things under his feet, all sheep and ox, moreover the beasts also of the field, the birds of the air, the birds of the air, and the fish of the seas. Thou hast, that passes through the paths of the sea. O Lord, our Lord, how admirable is thy name in the whole earth. So again, chapter 8 seems to really stress the importance of his name, which makes me think back to why he allowed us to go into this longest captivity, right? Because wherever we went, we profaned his holy name. And it also makes you think of Othello, right? Take not from me my good name. Unto the end, for the hidden things of the Son. A psalm for David. I will give praise to thee, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will relate all thy wonders. I will be glad and rejoice in thee. I will sing to thy name, O thou most high. Again, it's about his name. And it's about, this seems to be a song that we should be able to, these words should be turned into a song, and be made to be sung as a praise. When mine enemies shall be turned back, they shall be weakened and perish before thy face. For thou hast maintained my judgment and my cause. Thou hast set on the throne who judges just, which makes you think of, was it Joshua, the high priest? Thou hast rebuked the Gentile, and the wicked one hath perished. Thou hast blotted out their names forever and ever. Which that's an interesting part right there, right? Because this is leaving a lot to be speculated. He's blotting it out, but blotting it out from what, right? Which obviously has to be a book, a scroll, something that it's written down on, which also made me think about that article about the comparison between Native Americans and the Hebrew people, and how the Native Americans, they changed their names, right? Based upon the situations that they were in, or in the times that they were in. And they said that's the same as the Jews, how the Jews would change their names based upon the circumstances that they were in. And I just thought about that, just the power of the name and the importance of it. The swords of the enemies have failed unto the end. In their cities thou hast destroyed. Their memories have perished with a noise. But the Lord remaineth forever. He hath prepared his throne in judgment. And he shall judge the world in equity. He shall judge the people in justice. For the Lord is become a refuge for the poor, and a helper in due times in tribulation. which, I mean, that's one of the things I always try to remember. It's not that hard, but, you know, there's a big emphasis on taking care of the poor and the needy. And it does a lot for, to me, it does a lot for, you know, my pride, right? To remember to help those that are needy, that need help. Um, and not in the sense of being walked on, but in the sense of if I see somebody struggling or I see somebody that needs help for something and I know I can help them, you know, to go out of just to go and help because it's there's something about it that reminds you, you know, this is the things you've gone through, this is the things that you've overcome, but this could easily be you at any given time. I don't know the situation that could cause me to be in those places. Like there was one point in time I was homeless and like literally sleeping outside um, until I was able to reestablish myself and get back on my feet. And I always think about helping people when I see that they possibly could be, in the same situation, because I remember what that was like, you know. And let them trust in thee who seek thy name, for thou hast not forsaken them that seek thee, O Lord. And you see, that to me, that's one of those verses you highlight. That's one of those verses you put on your walls, so you can remember that you'll never forget, verse 10 there. Because to me, that's important. To me, that's like the equivalent of when you read in the book of Matthew that those that believe in Jesus, if they believe in him and they believe he's all that and a bag of chips, he says should be able to pick up serpents and not be bitten. That you should be able to drink poison and live. And that's always my test. If you believe that Jesus is the answer, it says right here you're supposed to be able to do these things. So there's your don't drink the Kool-Aid thing, right? Because and then that's when it's like, well, I believe it's a metaphor. Hey, that's not what it says here. It should say this is a metaphor for Christians. No, that just shows you don't believe in what you speak. Sing ye to the Lord who dwell in Sion, declare his way among the Gentiles. Now, Sion, right? That's according to etymology. That's the word it's supposed to be. Not Zion. Zion, what was it? The roots will go back to the Ashkenaz. It's what's that other language? The one that it's the one that has me afraid to try to learn Hebrew. I want to learn it from somebody who's actually learned Paleo Hebrew, because they have that whole thing where they have a mixture of the Ashkenaz and Hebrew. They mix their language together. I can't think of the name of it. Someone's probably screaming because they know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I don't like to use Zion because I know better. I've read etymology, now I know it's Sion. And we've seen there's a Sion in Peru, and there's another one. There was one in I think it was Tennessee. It's around the Cherokee. It's around the Cherokee village in the mountains up there. For requiring their blood, he hath remembered them. He hath not forgotten the cry of the poor. And that right there, I mean, I would not want to be those who are puffed up in heart and proud, that think that they've done all these things that they've done to our people and they're gonna get away with it. That it's the status quo, that things are just we're gonna keep the foot on the necks of these people, of these people. We're gonna keep their foot on the necks of my people. They're gonna keep mocking us. They're gonna sit up and act like, hey, we're better than them. Oh, no. Their wicked desires that, we want to bring back slavery. Well, what they think is the version of slavery. They want to bring back lynchings and stuff like that. Oh, no, that's those. You don't get it. You are piling up what's required for taking someone's life. I was just watching a movie with Nicolas Cage, The Outcast. The Outcast it's a movie about these Christian soldiers. What were they called? The soldiers that wear the red cross. They're fighting all these Christian wars, and the war ends, so they go east to try to run away from their past. And one of the things that was brought up when they're remembering all the people they had slaughtered and killed because they were, Muslims and Turks and stuff like that. Uh, they There's a part where Nicolas Cage and this other character are talking about the ghost that they remember, and they're about to face their final battle, and it's a suicide mission basically. And there was something that they said to each other. One guy says, "You remember the ghost, or do you still see the ghost?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What did the ghost whisper to you?" And he's like, "What blood was spilled will be required." You know. So when I read that verse, I think of that now. Have mercy on me, O Lord. See my humility, which I suffer for my enemies. Thou hast lifted me up from the gates of death, that I may declare all thy praise in the gates of the daughter of Sion. You're building a wall, you wonder if this wall has a gate to it, right? As I always say, that the wall that they're building, right? And I know this has nothing to do with this verse, but this wall that they're building is the Wailing Wall that you read about in Revelation. Because I know the time's coming where those that stayed are going to be chased, and when they're going to try to flee to the border. And yeah, Revelations, right? All right, ready for this verse? Ready? 15. I will rejoice in thy salvation. The Gentiles have stuck fast in the destruction which they prepared. Their foot hath been taken in the very snare which they hid. I shouldn't laugh at that stuff, but I'm saying that's that revenge, look around you. Look around you. I see it. To me, I see it. They still think the status quo. They still think, all those things that they, dream of, the destruction, what they want to do to us, it's going to be turned around on them. And they don't see it. That's why I don't get worked up when people try to say, "Oh, man, the president's your president." I don't look at myself as a U.S. citizen. I've done my best. I've tried to learn to rescind as much as I possibly can. Here's your social security number back. Thank you, but no thank you. Here's who I am on the record. I don't want any part of the United States. When I can finally figure out how to do it, I want to take up my family, my wife, my children, my sister, her husband and children, and I want to get us out of the way. The Lord shall be known when he executes judgment. The sinner hath been caught in the works of his own hands. The wicked shall be turned into hell. All the nations that forgot God, the Creator. Haya. Remember that. For the poor man shall not be forgotten to the end. The patience of the poor shall not perish forever. Remember, I don't know if your parents always said this, but mine did. Patience is a virtue. Don't forget verse 18. Arise, O Lord, let not men be strengthened. Let the Gentile be judged in thy sight. And listen to this one. This is a good one here. Appoint, O Lord, a lawgiver over them, that the Gentiles may know themselves to be but men,